This is my modified rough cut with a Retaliator rear end attached. This blaster was pretty much a just for the lols build. It's not really really Nerf war effective blaster, but I think it looks really cool, so we'll go over the mods. Internal modifications to the rough cut. I didn't actually modify it. I blocked the small air release hole in the front, but it doesn't actually change the velocity very much, or at all. I re-lubricated the operational mag so it's a little bit smoother, but really not noticeable because the stock rough cut actually comes really well lubed out of the factory. So no modifications to the rough cut. And the Retaliator there isn't actually functional, so I just cut that off with my bandsaw and attached it to the rough cut, and I glued it, and I solvent welded it, and then I had epoxy putty on the outside and the inside. It is using the Retaliator trigger because I like the feel of that. I don't really like the rough cut trigger, and it would have been really awkward to integrate the rough cut trigger into the Retaliator trigger. So I actually cut off the rough cut arm, the trigger arm, and then glued it to the Retaliator trigger, which I also modified. And that's JB welded in place, which is more than enough to hold that in place. The trigger pull is a little bit heavier than the stock rough cut just because of the nature of the bend here, and it's actually a little bit easier to get one shot off at a time. You want to separate the 1-2, or you just blast both at once. And I didn't actually modify the trigger unit, so if you hold down the trigger, slam fire is still there, of course. In the rear here, I have a Retaliator stock. If you didn't recognize it, it's because it doesn't have the little bar in the front. And of course that is detachable, and it has the in-strike attachment lug, so you can attach anything else you want. As you can see, I was going for the look of a tactical shotgun because I think they look cool. I wasn't really a fan of the rough cut, sloped back, old style grip. I don't find those comfortable. I think it's a little awkward. This is definitely comfortable and really fun to use. But again, is it super war practical to have a shotgun that is this big? That's only an 8-shooter? No, probably not. But it's definitely fun. The performance isn't any better or worse than a stock rough cut because it's not modified. It shoots just like a stock one would. It just looks a whole lot cooler. The paint job was a black vinyl dye primer and then a gray automotive paint by Duplicolor base coat, as you can see, over everything. Then a Citadel yellow, and then black details by Citadel, which are rather smaller, and that's also vinyl dye. That's not a brush paint. Then I finished up with silver dry brushing over everything. And then a matte clear coat to protect that paint. Overall, I definitely like the paint. I drew inspiration from the Hyperion blasters in Borderlands 2, just a beat up yellow. I really like that. It's not perfect or even really remotely close to that. That's just the inspiration for this paint job. I definitely like gray and yellow. I think the blaster looks really cool. As a tactical shotgun, I think the ergonomics and function are really fun. Overall opinion of the project, very positive. I really like how it turned out. I think this integration worked out really well. I mostly did this to look at it because I think this looks really cool. Again, this isn't a function-based modification, otherwise I would have thrown a new spring in the rough cut. That is the modification. Thanks for watching.